After months of anticipation, we're now 2 days away from anticipation by Vlad. We're 2 days away from the Oscars. There were a lot of amazing films this year, so we want to know who's going to get that Oscar gold,
That's right. And we don't know what to expect at this year's Academy Awards, but as always, every year, we bring on Gayle King to help us.
Listen, Anne-Marie, I'm like glad. Yay, it's Sunday. I can hardly wait.
I know.
Yeah.
Are you going this year, Gayle?
I have nothing. I have no inside information, none of that. But I just from the time I was a kid, I just loved watching. Vlad, no, I'm not going because I couldn't get my day off.
So, snap.
I'm not bitter. I'm okay.
So is there a plan, for Sunday night? Do you have a sort of a strategy?
I start because, listen, I like looking at the red carpet arrivals.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to see who's with who, and, I know it's shallow, and some people say trite. I like to see who's wearing what.
Yeah.
I always like all that stuff. And then once the show starts, and, it's Jimmy Kimmel this year, I think he's going to be great. And I just love the whole program. And it's not, I'm an actor. I have nothing to do with that. I just love the movies.
Yeah, me too.
I love the
it's
movies.
the same thing. I
You
love
do
the movies.
too?
I was actually going to go and do the red carpet for CBS, but I have
what
a
happened?
wedding. I have a wedding to go to. It was a tough call. Wedding of a good friend, and you can't go hang out on the red carpet. So I know.
That wasn't a tough call.
No, I hope that they don't hear you say that was a
Wedding of
tough call.
of a good friend.
They work in television, too.
Because
They're
guess
gonna
what? They
kill
don't
me.
have a red carpet next year you can go to.
That's
There
right.
won't be
That's
a
right.
wedding next year.
All right, let's talk predictions, Gayle. La La Land has a lot of momentum going into it.
14 nominations,
14
yeah.
nominations.
Ties with Titanic,
As the most nominated film ever. There's been a little bit of backlash to the backlash about La La Land. Some people saying it's an incredible movie. I loved it because I love the
too.
old Hollywood. I love those
too.
old movies like Singing in the Rain.
But
and
I've
And I
heard-
like Damien
I've heard-
Chazelle. What's the backlash?
Well, some
Not that.
people, I think, I've heard some people say, it's not as good as everyone says.
Right.
Oh, I disagree.
That it's,
I loved it.
it's derivative and it's not as good as perhaps everybody says it is.
I think those are called haters. And I love Damien Chazelle, who last year he did Whiplash.
Yes.
So he's 32 years old. And he wrote this, he told me, I sat next to him at a dinner recently. That's the only reason why I know this information. He said that he wrote this when he was 26, 27, that he just loved the grandeur of the song and the dance. He wrote this when he was 26. And look at this movie.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling together, I just think it's such a great combination. So all eyes seem to be on them. But the movie that I think is also really good is Lion.
I knew Gayle was going to say Lion. You love
Anne-Marie, have you seen
Lion.
Lion?
No, it's on my list.
I know every time I see people, I go, have you seen Lion? I go, no,
Yeah.
but I'm going to see it. No. I was in a
it's-
store in Washington recently, and I overheard a woman on the telephone talking about a movie. And they were going to go see, I forgot the name, and I said, ma'am, excuse me, could I just recommend that you go see Lion? I overheard you on the telephone. And here is and she goes, really? Why? And I was telling her why. And I said, here's my email address. Will you please email me after you
I
go
love
to
that
see
story.
And she did. Kathy emailed me.
Did she?
Not only did she go, but she emailed me and said, you were right. It was fantastic. And I don't know why it hasn't gotten the buzz or the momentum. I was asking Nicole Kidman about that. Sat next to her at another dinner.
Yes.
And she said she thinks that the title is confusing. People hear the name Lion and they think it's going to be about an animal. But Lion, we know, is based on the little boy's name.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's such a feel-good, and it's a true story. Yeah. And it's something that you can take your kids to. I love this movie.
I thought it was a great movie. I loved it as well. But my pick, I would like to see, if I had to choose, and there's so many good movies this year that are nominated, is Moonlight. I love
that too.
I love Moonlight. We've been talking about it all week. It was the last movie I just watched.
It's such an unexpected choice. Number one, I was thrilled that it was nominated, but everybody says that Mahershala Ali is going to win. So I take some comfort in that. But you're right, it is. When Helen Mirren was on CBS This Morning, she said that's the movie that she is pulling for. And this is the thing about the Oscars. Sometimes the unexpected happens. There's always some kind of Oscar surprise or shock.
Right.
So who knows?
But isn't it
there are a
so
lot of good choices
interesting
this year.
that just last year and the year before we were talking about Oscar So White,
Right.
And now we have all these movies.
Yes.
We have Fences, which
Which
another one I thought was amazing.
Right.
We have Hidden Figures. We have you brought up Lion. We have Moonlight, and they're not just stories with black folks in it, or brown folks in it.
Or black folks playing subservient roles.
Right. They are compelling characters.
Yes.
Beautifully
great
acted.
storytelling.
Yeah, great storytelling.
I see Viola Davis being a lock, if there is such a thing as a lock.
I think she's probably the lock this year. A lot of people are saying that.
I see that she's a lock, and the race for Best Actor in Fences is between, they say, Denzel Washington and Casey Affleck.
Casey Affleck, right, from Manchester by the Sea.
Manchester by the Sea, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I do think that it's interesting when you talk about Oscars So White. Cheryl Boone Isaacs, who's the president of the Academy,
who's a woman of color.
Who's a woman of color, has made it her mission to try and bring diversity. They increased the number of Best Picture nominees. There's been some controversy. She's reduced the number of people who can vote for these films because there are some people who haven't had a movie credit since the 50s.
Yes.
But then they've criticized her for being an ageist. But I think it's interesting that they're cognizant of this and they're trying to
and they want to
change.
do something about it.
They want to do something about it.
This is what I'm most looking forward to is Ava DuVernay, who's up for an Oscar in the documentary category. I think that the competition is tough with the O.J. Simpson series. But she says, I always hate the word diversity. I like the word inclusion. And I think I like that. She said it's not a matter of being diverse; it's a matter of being included. And I like that. I like the way she frames it and the way her philosophy and what she believes.
Yes, because all these talented people have been here all along.
That's right.
They've been working away
right, Anne-Marie.
all along,
That's right.
Now, come to the party.
Have you seen something that Anne-Marie showed me this week? Have you seen the video that was done for a promo for the Atlantic Monthly with Michael K. Williams having a conversation with himself? I'm going to send you this clip about being typecast.
No,
it's really cool, Gayle, and it's interesting because there are a lot of people of color here, and also you mentioned Ava DuVernay and Barry Jenkins.
Yes.
African American for Moonlight,
He's
African American director.
Yeah.
That's there are steps. I remember Spike Lee saying a couple of years ago, we don't know how to act, we don't know how to direct. We do.
Yeah,
We've always been doing it, and now it's good that it's finally coming to the fore.
I think Hollywood is paying attention, but listen, there's still a long way to go. In terms of in the executive positions, you have to have a seat at the table to make some of the decisions that go into greenlighting a picture, to hiring the people that are in the picture. But it was very encouraging to see, it's almost like they said, we're not going to make that same mistake 2 years, it would have been 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting.
How about politics? Do you expect people to get a little political up on stage based on what we've seen so far?
I know I'm going to sing aside. I think that it will.
Yeah.
I think that it will. And, I have mixed feelings about that. When Laverne Cox stood up last week, or at the Screen Actors Guild, wherever she was, Screen Actors Grammys, I can't remember. Grammys, because she got to meet Beyonce. And she said, and I'd like to say something about Gavin Grimm.
Oh, yeah, she said
I did
Google,
eye roll, and I said, oh, gosh. That's not why we're here. And then I Googled him, and then I said to her, gosh, I'm kind of glad you said something about that, because I wasn't aware of that story. So, I'm sort of, I keep contradicting myself about that. I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, look, there are a lot of people who
That's not why people are there, to hear political speeches.
Right.
But sometimes it's good to enlighten and inform people.
Yeah.
That's correct. And I think that's what a lot of these actors are going to perhaps think about when they're accepting the award. But as you say, most people are there just to see the glamour, the glitz, and cheer for their favorite movies, and maybe take their mind off of some of the things that are not going the way they want them to.
And many of these movies inform and enlighten.
That's
right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. If you watch some of these films, you will already know some of the things that are being discussed.
I'm trying to figure out, did we cover all of the different movies, all the different bases?
We're talking. We're just talking here, Gayle.
Okay. Oh, we had something, or somebody told me something, Tony, floor manager on CBS This Morning.
Tony, of course.
Tony, who's a wealth of all sorts of information, said, well, 3 out of 5 people haven't even seen the movies that have been nominated this year.
True.
And I said, really? I'm so used to wanting to see everything before the show on Sunday. He said a lot of people haven't seen them, and I was surprised to hear that the number was that high. Because there are a lot of good choices for people to go see.
Hacksaw Ridge, Jackie, there's so many movies. We haven't even talked about them, but if you go to the Oscars website, you can see all the nominees. And a lot of them are now available on iTunes before the Oscars. If you have, in the next 48, 72 hours, go ahead and watch them.
You can binge watch all of the movies before the show on Sunday night.
Gayle King, always great to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me come. I love coming over to visit.
We love it.
Anne-Marie Green, good to be with you.
Good to be with you, Gayle.
Oh.